Well, a very, very happy Friday morning to everyone, and welcome to the John Kentera Show on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope everyone has had a great week. We've had a great week with Padre baseball. They're 2-0 this week. Starting on Tuesday night, they took down the San Francisco Giants in Game One, 7-4, and then they came back on Wednesday afternoon and knocked off the Giants 5-3. So the Padres now embark on a 9-game road trip that'll take them to Pittsburgh, to Yankee Stadium, and finish up next weekend at Coors Field against the struggling Colorado Rockies, who, by the way, have won two in a row. They actually beat the Giants on Thursday night, come from behind victory 4-3. But we're going to break it all down. We're going to get to your comments today. And as always, want to remind everyone, if you're tuning in for the very, very first time, please subscribe, please like, and please send comments in. Always enjoy those comments. And again, we're on 3 platforms live. We're on YouTube, which is our primary, and then we're on Facebook, and we're on X. And on Facebook, at John Kentera, my regular Facebook page, and on X, at Coach Kentera 44. And again, please subscribe, please like, and please send your comments. We like to have a good little family get-together 3 times a week starting at 9 a.m. Now, we're going to kind of rehash the Tuesday night game a little bit. It was a brief 2-game set. It wasn't a series, it was a set, and the Padres took both of them, which very, very good. It was very, very important for the Padres to get those games at home against the Giants. And the Padres did a great thing. They set up their rotation to send 2 guys to the post, Nick Pivetta and Michael King, that are red hot. And Tuesday night, 7-4 victory. They out-hit the Giants that night, 11-7. They were 5 for 9 with runners in scoring position, which was very, very good. Nick Pivetta, another outstanding outing, 5 1/3, 5 hits, 3 runs. They were all earned, a walk, 9 strikeouts, gave up a homer. But as I mentioned on Wednesday when we were breaking it down, he pitched much better. I mean, Jeremiah Estrada came in Tuesday night and really kind of scuffled. He gave up 2 of the inherited runners to Nick Pivetta, and he also got charged with 1 himself. He gave up 2 hits, so one of them a double by Lamont Wade Jr., but Morahone, Jason Adam, Robert Swartz, all those guys did a hell of a job. And I got to tell you, man, Jason Adam, I mean, right now he is just pitching his tail off, and I would think they would love to not use him tonight in Game 1 against Pittsburgh. He has thrown a lot in the last week. And not only did he throw on Tuesday night, he came back and threw on Wednesday. And, gave up a run, which is uncommon. His ERA right now is 1.06 on the year. And Robert Suarez came in and picked up his 12th save on Wednesday. Padres, the thing that I liked about the Padre game Wednesday, they led 4-0 after 5 innings. The Giants tried to come back, but to no avail. The bullpen, after Michael King went 5 2/3, giving up 3 hits and 1 earned run, a walk. Hit a batter, had 9 punch-outs, improved to 4-1, dropped his ERA down to 2.09. Morahone came in 2/3 of an inning, a strikeout. Jason Adam, 1 inning, gave up a run, a walk, gave up a homer. But then Suarez came in, and they had 1 walk in the 9th inning, but closed it. He's 12 for 12 in save opportunities. He's given up 1 run. And it was last Sunday in a non-save situation, but he's 12 for 12 and given up only 1 earned run so far. And again, 12 saves, dropped his ERA down to 0.64. Offensively on Wednesday, Fernando was 3 for 4, didn't do a lot of damage, did score a run, was caught stealing for the second time, but man, he's playing great baseball. He went 0 for 5, and I mentioned on Wednesday's podcast, Tuesday night, he looked completely lost. Not so much at the plate, but just watching his mannerisms, watching his facial expressions, watching his eyes. He looked like he was totally out of it. And he was 0 for 5 and looked bad doing it. And then came back on Wednesday and went 3 for 4 and put his average back up to 345. The guy's having a great season right now. He's right up there with the best in baseball. And we expect him to as long as he stays healthy. Luis Arraez coming back, had 3 hits in the series, 2 for 4 on Wednesday. He had that triple, drive in a run, now hitting 298. And we're going to talk more about Luis Arraez here in a few minutes. Other than that, Elias Diaz hitting that key number 9 spot. 2 for 4, hit his second homer, drove in his 5th run of the year, and the Padres get the win. So they're sitting right now at 19-11 and playing good baseball. Now they're going out on the road, and they got to play better on the road. They're 5-7 right now on the road, and they got to do a better job. They're going into taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are right now in last place in the National League Central. They're 12-20. And the pitching matchups for this weekend. Tonight, Friday night, right-hander Dylan Cease, and he's got to pitch better. He's given up per 9 innings over 10 hits a game right now. 9 innings, he's given up over 10 hits per 9 innings right now. Got to do better. But he'll take a record of 1-2 to the post and a 5.76 ERA. He'll go against former National League All-Star from a few years back, right-hander Mitch Keller, who's off to an okay start, 1-2 and a 3.97. Got to be tough pitching for Pittsburgh. They're just not very good. Cease, when you look at him, he's completed 6 innings only one time this season. He should be a guy that's going 6 and 7 on a consistent basis. Not every time, but he can't go 4 1/3, 4 2/3. You got to get that guy to 6 and 7 innings and take a little pressure off this bullpen. I got news for you. This bullpen is not going to last. This bullpen is the best in baseball right now, but they're not going to last if they have to go to them so often. I mean, I think it's really important. When you got to go into Yankee Stadium, you don't have an off day on Monday. And you've got to have these starters this weekend go and give these relievers a little bit of a breather. So you got Cease and Keller tonight. Tomorrow you got Randy Vasquez. 1-3 and a 4.28. Last time, 2 times that hadn't pitched great. Going against left-hander Bailey Falter, who's struggling. 1-3. Yeah, he's faltering all right. He's got a 5.93 ERA. And then Sunday, that's going to be an early game, folks. 10:35. Right-hander Nick Pivetta, 5-1, a 1.78, going against the veteran left-hander Andrew Heaney, 2-2, in a 2.50 ERA. And I know a lot of you don't know squat about the Pittsburgh Pirates. Derek Shelton's their manager. They've got some household names: Andrew McCutchen, Brian Reynolds, the guy the Padres over a few years were trying to get. I'm kind of glad they didn't get him because he's kind of gone backwards. Right now he's hitting 238 with 4 homers and 16 RBIs. O'Neal Cruz, who was so bad at shortstop last year. He's 6'7", 240 pounds. They moved him to center field. He can launch the ball long ways, but right now he's hitting 252, 8 homers, 17 RBIs. Adam Frazier, who spent a short time with the Padres, not very productive when he came to the Padres. And then they got the former Giant catcher, Joey Bart, who's really starting to come into his own as a major league hitter, hitting 293. Did a good job last year for him. He was a former #1 pick of San Francisco and just never could get it. They thought he was going to be the heir apparent to Buster Posey. He just didn't work out. They traded him to Pittsburgh. And now it seems like he's kind of got his career on track. Probably, a new lease on life. The old change of scenery has really benefited Joey Bart a great deal. But, you would hope, with Cease on the mound, you would hope he could go in there and get this series off to a good start because the Padres don't have an off day on Monday. They got to go right to Yankee Stadium and play 3 games against the Yankees. Then they get an off day. And then next Friday, the 9th, 10th, and 11th, which is Mother's Day. And don't forget that, folks. They're going to be in Colorado. Then they'll be back home. So it's a key road trip. And again, 5-7 on the road. Hey, want to remind everyone to get your questions in. We got a lot to talk about today on the program. I want to give you some numbers. Okay, and then I'm going to give you the standings here in a minute, but I want to give you some numbers to take a look at. And this is, through the first month plus, because they played some games in March. And we're going to just kind of take a look at a few of the interesting numbers. I know a lot of you out there really enjoy numbers, and we don't do this very often. We'll probably do it once a month. Once a month ends, we'll give you some numbers that make sense. Again, Padres 19-11 at Petco Park. Now they're 14-4. Road, as I mentioned, they're 5-7. In the month of March, they were 5-0. In the month of April, they were 3 games over 500. And that was a skid where they dropped 8 out of 11. They're 14-11 in the month of April. So far this year in series, the Padres are 6-4. Home series, they're 5-1. Road series, they're 1-3. Versus the National League West. Now, let's remember, they beat Colorado 3 games at Petco Park. and we'll see Colorado at the end of the road trip. They were 3-0 against Colorado. They were 2-0 against the Giants. Right now in the division against the National League West, they're 5-0, which is great. In one-run games, they're trending very well. They're 6-3 in one-run games, and in 1 or 2-run games, they're 3 games over. They're 10-7. So they've done good in tight ball games to this point. Now, I want to show you some numbers here that I guess they're a little bit concerning to me. I mean, we know no ball club is perfect. Even the great Dodger ball club, they're not perfect. They got their problem. They got all kinds of pitching problems. But one of the areas that I am a little concerned with right now is the Padres when they trail late in ball games. They haven't shown the ability yet to really come back. When they get out to a fast start in the game, because of their pitching, they can go to that bullpen and they just line them up, and they got those guys. But when they're in tight ball games or when they're behind, they haven't been good. Now, take a look at this. When the Padres are behind after 6 innings, okay, they still have 3 at-bats left. They're 2-9. 2-9 when they're trailing after 6 innings. When they're trailing after 7 innings, they're 1-10. And when they're trailing after 8 innings, they're 0-10. Those aren't good numbers. I want to see those numbers turn around a little bit. I mean, when they're trailing after 8 innings, they're 0-10. They haven't had a come from behind 9th inning victory. So that has to change. And you think about last year, how many walk-offs they had, how many games they won late. And I know they got the nice record, and they're sitting in second place right now. But they got to show the ability to come back late in ball games. And I know the other team are bringing their top relievers in, but hey, I don't care. We're the Padres. We want to see them show the ability to come back. And they fight. It's the ball hasn't bounced their way in the late innings. Now, when the Padres are leading, check these numbers out. These are mind-boggling numbers here. When the Padres are leading after 6 innings, they're a perfect 13-0. When they're leading after 7 innings, they're 17-0. And when they're leading after 8 innings, they're 18-0. So that tells you how good the Padre bullpen is. They're not giving it up. They're not burping it up in the late innings. So a hell of an effort by the Padres on that. Okay, let's take a look at the standings. Then I'm going to get into Luis Arraez because we've got to talk about this Arraez situation. Let's talk about the standings. We're going to give you the entire National League. The Mets, they got beat yesterday, by the way. Arizona got them yesterday, but the Mets playing great baseball. 21-11. They got that 3.5 game lead over Philadelphia. Philadelphia is not going away. They got a really good pitching staff. They're going to be there for the duration. The Braves are trying to find their way back to 500 or better. They're at 14-16 after just a miserable start. They're 6 games back. The Nationals at 14-18, and then you got the Miami Marlins at 12-18, 8 games back. Now the Central, I think the Cubs are going to win that division. I really do. They've got a great offense. I'm not sure they've got the pitching they need, but they can outscore a lot of opponents. And they beat up Paul Skeens and the Pirates yesterday. 19-13 for the Cubbies. Cincinnati Reds, I'm not really a believer in the Reds, but they're kind of hanging in there right now at 17-15, 2 games back. Milwaukee, they're going to continue to battle. They're 16-16. The Cardinals, man, I wonder how long Oliver Marmol's going to be there. I would think they may try to get him through the year, but if they don't do something dynamic, I think they're going to let him go. And there's going to be a change there in that St. Louis organization. John Mozeliak, this is his final year running the show with the Redbirds. 14-18 right now for the Cardinals, 5 games back. And then you got the Buccos at 12-20, 375 winning percentage. Man, that's just awful. 5.5 games back in the wild card already. That's brutal. And then, of course, the National League West Dodgers are playing great. They've won 5 in a row. They go back out on a road trip. They're going to be in Atlanta over the weekend. They're 21-10. Padres sitting at 19-11, a game and a half back. Giants got beat. They let that game slip away on Thursday night to Colorado. They were up 3-1, couldn't hold it. 19-13, 2.5 games back. The Diamondbacks, they're not going away. 4 games back at 17-14, and then you got the Rockies at 6-25. But Rockies right now, they're 2-0, by the way. They're 2-0 in the month of of May. So there you have it. Okay, I want to get to Luis Arraez. And I think this is really big, folks, because we talk a lot about Michael King, and I looked up Michael King's contract this morning because I just wanted to make sure I was on top of everything. Dylan Cease will be a free agent at the end of the year. We know that. Michael King signed an extension with the Padres just prior to the start of the year. It's a mutual option for $15 million, but also uh, there's a buyout of $3.75 million. So the mutual option is for $15 million, and the buyout is $3.75 million. Now, I would think the way he's pitching now, he'll opt out. Will the Padres be able to re-sign him? Only time's going to tell on that. But nobody's really talked much about Luis Arraez. And Luis Arraez is going to be a walk-away free agent at the end of the year. And I think we've already found with this guy in the lineup, the Padres are a hell of a lot better offensive team. I mean, he's not going to win any gold gloves down at first base, but he has worked his tail off to get better. And I don't think he's a liability down there. But again, he's not going to be a gold glover. Now, the big problem with Luis Arraez, and every team is going to look at it a little bit differently, is he doesn't hit with a lot of power. Now, he's going to hit with more power this year because he's got a healthy thumb. And he got off to a tough start after a great spring training. He got off to a terrible start. I mean, you wondered if he was ever going to get a hit. I think he was like 1 for 16 out of the gate. But he's back up to 298, and he missed time with a concussion. And in the Giants series, he came back and got 3 hits. Now, the big knock on Luis Arraez isn't so much his defense, and he doesn't hit with a lot of power. I get that. And by the way, we're hearing Jackson Merrill's probably going to be back on Monday to play against the Yankees. But again, we'll take that with a grain of salt. Maybe Lockridge will come back. I don't know. We've got Jason Hayward back from that left knee inflammation. He played the 2 game, made a great catch, by the way, on Wednesday. Didn't do much offensively Wednesday. Did pretty good job on Tuesday night. But Merrill's supposed to come back. And I'm looking around the Padre ball club right now. They got plenty of power. They got the guy in right that can launch it. They got a guy in center that can launch it. They got a guy at third that can launch it. Cronenworth will run into his fair share. I think the Padres, as far as, your everyday lineup, they could afford to have a guy at first base who doesn't hit with a lot of power. Because Luis Arraez is a table setter. He's not a great base stealer. The guy comes to play every day. But let me share some numbers with you, because it really is going to come down. Are the Padres going to be able to afford Luis Arraez? He's making $14 million this year. What's he going to make on the open market? What teams out there are going to be looking for a first baseman / DH that doesn't hit with a lot of power? Maybe he falls back to the Padres in a bargain deal. I think he likes playing here. But let's take a look at some of the numbers. And by the way, in the series against the Giants, he went 3 for 7. He had a sac fly, had a triple, drove in a couple of runs. He's hitting 298 right now with a 333 on base percentage, a slugging percentage of 447, and an OPS of 780. Not bad, huh? 3-time batting champ. I mean, you go back to Minnesota in 2022, the guy hit 316. 2023 hit 354 to win a National League batting title. And then last year, combined between Miami and the Padres, he hit 314. I bet he hits better than 314 this year. And the other numbers I wanted to look at are his career number. He's a 322 career hitter. Got 31 homers, which not a lot. We know that. 256 RBIs in 710 games. Got an on-base percentage of 370. Pretty damn good. I think the Padres are going to have to re-sign. I like him. I like Arraez, not just because he's a good hitter. I like because he comes with an attitude. He comes with a little bit of an edge. Even though I think he's a really friendly, nice guy, he comes to play. Baseball means something to him. And I want guys like that on my ball club. I don't know about you. But the Padres are going to have to come up with, they got to make him some kind of offer. Let's put it that way. They've got to make him some kind of offer. We can't allow him to leave because I don't know who they could bring in. I know there's always somebody on the free agent market. You'll probably end up having to pay more for and get less. I mean, Luis Arraez is a proven commodity. We know the guy's going to hit 300 plus. And his career on base percentage, even though this year, right now, it's only a 333, it's 370. Still a young player. I gotta find a way to sign him. What do you think about that? Tell me right now. What do you think about Luis Arraez? The Padres need to give him a nice 3-year contract. I mean, what do you give him? You give him $60 million, give him $20 million a year, or is he going to hold out to go to free agency and maybe get more? You offer him 3-year deal for $20 million, he may take it. I think he likes playing here. And again, I'm sure his agent will have something to say. But I think the Padres need to find a way to keep him. I really do. Okay, let's get to some questions. Can the Padres afford Luis Arraez? Give me an answer on that. Let's get to Coach's Mailbag, get some questions in. And I've got a couple of other things I got to read to you today that fans have asked me, kind of personal things that I'll answer today. Okay. Pods 1969. That always puts a smile on my face. What impressed you the most about the series against the Giants? Because the Padres hit with runners in scoring position. They were 9-17 with runners in scoring position. The other thing that I like, they're starting to score early in the ball game and put pressure on their opponent rather than the Padres have the pressure on them to go up there and think about trying to hit one over the boards. I think 9 for 17, and that's not going to happen. You know, the last series they were 2 for 15. So 9 for 17. Let's hopefully they can, do something similar to that on the road trip to Pittsburgh. But yeah, hitting with runners in scoring position. The thing that I like most about this ball club is they're very consistent day in and day out. They may not get great pitching every game, but for the most part, the offense has been fairly consistent. They haven't had a lot of peaks and valleys so far. And again, Manny really hadn't gotten hot yet. But what I was impressed with, scoring early and hitting with runners in scoring position and playing good defense. I know they committed an error. Manny committed an error on Tuesday night, but there were some really, really good defensive plays. Manny had a couple on Wednesday, and I mentioned that great catch by Hayward out in left field on Wednesday also. Mike, I think X is an honorable man and works hard to be a ball player, but I honestly think he was damaged goods when we got him. Ooh, Mike, I don't know. He's had a couple of pretty big injuries here with the Padres. That's for dang sure. I don't know. I will tell you this. I think if you look at his last year in Boston, maybe his power numbers started to go down. I think the other thing, and I never like to comment on a guy's body type because I've always fought the weight battle, trying to, keep lean, mean, and fighting machine. And I think Xander's lost some weight this year, and I think he's done a very admirable job at shortstop. But man, he's just not the same hitter. And I think he's just trying so hard. There was a really good article in the paper this morning talking about some of the things that he worked on and working with Victor Rodriguez. The one thing I didn't know is that when Xander was in the minor leagues with Boston, Victor Rodriguez at that point in time was with the Boston Red Sox, and he actually worked with Xander. And so he has a relationship with him, which is really huge. Whenever you're working with ball players, there's a trust factor. And you have to build that trust up with that player so they'll buy into what you're selling them. And I think Victor Rodriguez has a lot of trust. I think a lot of guys really trust him. And, he's going to continue to grind. I know he's hitting in the 240. He's had a good game Tuesday night, came back, had an awful game Wednesday, 0 for 4 and 2 strikeouts. But he'll continue to grind. He'll probably hit 270. If he hits 270, I'm fine with that. Just play great defense and hit 270 and get on base at, a 320 clip. I'd be happy with that. Padres have a lot of offense. If he can just add to it and be fairly consistent, don't go 0 for 4 and then 2 for 4 and then go 0 for your next 8. Let's try to be a little bit more consistent. And I think most of you know, I've been one of the biggest Xander Bogaerts fans. I've kind of stuck with this guy because like Mike said, he's a great guy and he works hard. The game does mean something to him. And he's scuffling hard. He's scuffling hard. I don't know if he wishes he'd have stayed in Boston. Boston kind of, let him go. I know the fans in Boston loved him. They wanted him to stay. They wanted him to sign a long-term contract. Boston didn't want to. Maybe Boston made the right decision. So we're going to have Xander Bogaerts for a long time, folks. I don't see him going anywhere. unless the Padres would be willing to eat a lot of money. And I don't think they're in the money-eating business any longer, that Peter Seidler's not here. So keep those questions coming right now. What else we got here? Big Sam. Good morning, Coach. Happy Friday. Right back at you, Sam. Do you think Brandon Lockridge or Tyler Wade will get more playing time when Lockridge gets back from injury? I'm going to tell you right now, I think Lockridge goes to AAA. Tyler Wade is playing great. And, there's not been one time when I've watched the Padre game and Tyler Wade's been in center field, I go, what the hell is he doing out there? Guy's played great. He's hitting 289. I don't expect him to hit 289 all year, but I kind of like what he's doing. And I think Lockridge's a nice player. I think he's a kind of a fifth outfielder, not necessarily a fourth outfielder. He was having to play more here with the Padres than they would have probably liked. He's probably playing more than he ever thought he would like to play. I mean, the guys want to play, but he's having to play too much. Tyler Wade's done a good job. Left-hand bat, and he can play the infield. Lockridge can't play the infield. When Merrill comes back, they're going to have to make a move. I would think Connor Joe's probably going down. He has struggled, hadn't gotten a hit yet. They got rid of Yuli Gurriel the other day. At some point, they're going to have to make some moves with their pitching staff. By the way, Kyle Hart didn't pitch the other night. The game got rained out that one night, and they were supposed to go against Kershaw. And that was on Tuesday night. Wednesday night, Kershaw did pitch pretty good. Oklahoma City beat El Paso pretty good that night. I think it was 13-4, if I'm not mistaken. Kyle Hart didn't pitch, and he didn't pitch last night. And I don't know if he's pitching tonight. They're trying to figure out when he's coming back up and when they want him to pitch in AAA. So I don't know. Maybe he won't pitch. Maybe let's go down there and throw some bullpens now that game got washed out the other night. Padres have a distinct time schedule for Kyle Hart. But I think Lockridge would go down. If I'm manager and I'm the GM, I probably got to keep Tyler Wade because he can help me in a variety of spots. Both guys run well. One guy's a left-hand hitter, the other guy's right-hand hitter. But really the key one there is Tyler Wade can play second, short, play third. You give him a first baseman's glove, and he showed that he can play the outfield. So I think Brandon Lockridge, unfortunately for him, I think he would be the odd man out if it came into that situation between those two. But a really good question, Sam. Thank you very much. Okay, keep those questions coming. Chris, Coach, what do we do with Campy? He's hitting well in AAA. Yeah, it is friendly down there. And I've heard he has immaturity issues. Maybe bring his bat up for a DH and maybe a spot start. I can't speak on the immaturity issues. Now, I will tell you, a few years back, I would have talked about that. But I think he's come a long ways. I would hope. If he wants to get back to the big leagues, I think he turned the corner on that a couple of off seasons ago. And I think guys like Musgrove and Darvish, I think they probably helped him to a certain degree. And by the way, the other day, it was Bark at the Park. You guys see on the TV broadcast, Joe had Theo Musgrove. Boy, he's got a good-looking dog. Boy, Joe loves that dog. I mean, he loves that dog. And we all love our dogs. Man, I love my dog. My dog watches ball games with me every night. Carney, she's 12 years old. What a doll. But I got all fired up. Joe was up there with Orsillo and Grant, and little Theo Musgrove was up there. And Joe's working hard to get back. He's such a good guy. In fact, a friend of mine saw Joe the other day at an event, and he goes, "Hey, I'm a friend of Coach Kentera's." He goes, "How's Coach doing? Tell him I said hello." So that was good stuff. Joe's a great guy. I got so much respect for Joe in a variety of different reasons. Not only is he a great ball player, but just a great San Diegan and a guy that really and truly cares about our community. But getting back to Campy, he's swinging the bat really well down there. Again, I think it comes down to both Martin Maldonado and Elias Diaz. Mike Schilt loves these guys because they call a good game. They work well with the pitching staff, and I don't think they're going to rock the boat there. Maybe Campy could come up and be a DH, but he could play a little first. But Arraez is there. He could play a little left. We've seen him in left. I don't know how good he is, but we have seen him out there every once in a while. Late inning ball game, you throw him in out there. I want to say he even took some ground balls at third base for a period of time. But I don't know. I just don't see Campy getting back up here unless there was an injury. And, he's 26 years old. I mean, been with the Padres a long time. It just hasn't worked. It just hasn't worked. And maybe for him, it might be better if the Padres were able to trade him, but I don't know. I don't know how many takers there are going to be for Luis Camposano. He's kind of the proverbial prospect. We keep waiting and waiting and waiting for him, and it just doesn't happen. So that we'll see, Chris. But I do monitor him. He's doing a really good job. I think he's hitting 322, if I not mistaken. I looked after the game last night. He's hitting 322. All right, what else we got? The real swinging fry. Now, is that the best logo? Is that the best logo the Padres have ever had? That's one of the best in baseball, isn't it? I love the swinging friar. I love the Friar. I'm a big Friar fan. Coach, do you think the Padres have the financial means to extend, to re-sign Michael King? Rotation is a big question mark after this year. Well, if they're willing to give him $15 million, you're not going to re-sign Dylan Cease for two reasons. Number one, he's not consistent. And I don't see that changing. He is what he is at this point in time. He's, 29 years of age? He is who he is. Michael King's consistent. I think you got to make Michael King probably a deal for $25 million a year. 4 years, $100 million. What do you think? Can the Padres afford it? I don't know. But I think that's probably what it takes. Somebody out there, one of those New York teams, hell, the Yankees who traded him to San Diego, they may give him $25 million a year. I heard they were trying to trade for him during the offseason. Whether or not that's true or not, I don't know. But I heard they had called the Padres about seeing what it would take to get Michael King. But I don't think you can just let this guy walk out the door. I know the Padres gave him this contract extension for next year, but there's a buyout, and right now he's out pitching that $15 million. There's no doubt about that. He's going to be on the All-Star team. Padres are going to have some All-Stars right now. I mean, Nick Pivetta, the way he's pitching. And knock on wood, he continues to pitch well. Pivetta, King, Suarez. Those guys, Tatis. Hell, we could have 4 or 5 guys at the All-Star game this year. Just keep doing what you're doing. Everybody wants to see Tatis. He's a slam dunk. Everybody in baseball, all fans in baseball want to see Fernando play. They want to see him on that big stage at the All-Star game. By the way, did you see Mike Trout went on the IL already for the Angels? Bone bruise. But he's hitting like 177 too. Got some homers though. Been swinging the bat power wise, but man, hitting 177, but back on the IL with a bone bruise in his knee. That sucks. But now I don't know. Padres are going to have to make some kind of offer. If not, he'll go out in the free agent market. Padres will get a draft pick in compensation, I do believe. All right, what else we got question wise? Omar, what trade would you love to see to take us over the top? Well, I would continue to monitor starting pitching to see who could become available, even in a waiver wire deal. And I know the Padre front office, I mean, they got some good dudes in that front office. They got some guys that are paying attention. A guy that's been with the Padres forever and ever and ever, Josh Stein, good guy. I saw him the other day. He was on the MLB Network, I think it was. Did a really nice interview. Good guy. We got to get Josh on the program. I don't like to have a lot of guests, and I'll tell you why. We go for 45 minutes to an hour. Now I'll get Scott Miller on. I'll get Jay Paris on. We used to have Bryce Miller, God rest his soul, on. He was a great guy, great guy to gain knowledge from. And we're going to get some ball players on from time to time, but it's hard during the season to ask guys to come on at 9 o'clock and do a podcast. I've talked to a couple of guys, and we're going to get some guys on as the season gets a little bit deeper, but I really am doing this podcast for you folks. Okay. We do it because we love our interaction with Padre fans, baseball fans, sports fans. And we talk primarily this time of year about the Padres, but we talk about other sports. And I'm going to mention a couple of other things here in a few minutes. But I want to hear what you have to say. See, I love this banter back and forth. But Omar, to answer your question, I think it's a little bit too early. But I know the Padres front office and their pro personnel, they're constantly looking to see what they can do to make this ball club better. Every day, A.J. Preller's feet hit the floor, and I'm not talking about the basketball floor because he loves playing pickup basketball at 0:30 in the morning. He's trying to make this organization better, and we got a good ball club. Our ball club, think about this. Okay, we're going to get you Darvish back either at the end of this month or in June. Jackson Merrill's supposed to come back on Monday. Cronenworth probably a couple of weeks away. We've got a good enough ball club. When we throw, Cease, hopefully get him back on track. Then you got Pavetta. Then you got King. And then you're going to get Darvish. We're going to be fine when we get to the postseason. We're going to the postseason, folks. We're not going to spit the bit. We'll make the postseason. With the additional wild cards, you have to be pretty bad not to be in the wild card race. Once we get to the playoff, we can win. We got the pitching and we got the bullpen. We can do it. We could have done it last year. We can do it this year. Believe. You have to believe this ball club. And I know the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs. I get pissed just as much as you do. But I'm a realist. I've been around this game a long time. As a fan, as a broadcaster, having coached baseball, had a lot of interaction with these guys down in that Padre clubhouse for many years. Man, you can't beat yourself up. You get frustrated. I mean, I was really frustrated when they're dropping 8 out of 11. I'm going, come on, guys, let's go. I mean, you're not getting beat by that great a ball club. And now they're back on track. But there's going to be they could drop 2 out of 3 in Pittsburgh. And when I come on the air Monday, everybody, the roof is falling in. Okay? And I know we've got some rain today in San Diego, but you know what? At the end of the day, after 162, we're going to be happy. We may not be happy that we're the second or third wild card. You'd like to be the first wild card. Hell, you'd like to win the division. I don't see that happening. Dodgers have too much depth. They can overcome injuries. For us, it's a little more difficult, and we found that out. But we get to the postseason again, folks. We got the starting pitching, and we definitely have the bullpen. Guys like Randy Vasquez, they're not going to pitch. Kyle Hart, he's not going to pitch. He's going to be maybe not even on the postseason roster. We'll go with an extra bullpen guy. So believe me, the Padres get to the postseason, they can line up against anybody. Anybody. It's that simple. But you just got to play consistent and try to stay away from injuries. But as far as trade, they're going to do something. They're going to do something because the more they win, the more pressure goes to the ownership and the front office to continue to try to add to this roster. Some of the guys we see now that are playing may not be here after the trading deadline. We may not see these guys in August and September. And we got to continue to add bench pieces. And I'm always looking for a catcher that can give me a little more offense. But in an ideal world, it would be great to have a left-hand hitting catcher so you could platoon one guy, whether it be Diaz or Maldonado, for a left-handed hitter that's a catcher. And I know right now they're waiting on Salas. They're not going to go into any long-term deal with any catcher next offseason. They're going to continue to wait for Ethan Salas. And by the way, he's on the IL now and, hitting 188. And he'll get back. Defensively, he could catch probably in the big leagues right now. He'd have some things to learn, but he's a very gifted defender. But got to get that bat to catch up to a certain degree. Omar, thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right, I see 10 teams vying for 6 playoff spots. National League, Pods, D-backs, Giants, Dodgers, Phils, Mets, Braves, Brewers, Cubs, Reds. Which 4 don't make it? Reds don't make it. I think the Diamondbacks make it over the Giants. I think the Giants come up a little bit short. Braves have some work to do, but I think they'll get back in. I think the Cubs are going to win their division, so they're in. Padres will finish second. They'll get in. Dodgers are going to win their division. They're in. Mets are going to win their division. So I think right now you probably look at the Braves, Brewers, Reds, and Giants all out. How do you feel about that? That's pretty good thinking about that on the fly, isn't it? Yeah, I think I'm doing a pretty good job on that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that question. That's a good question. Boy, I'll tell you what. I said this on radio, and I'll say it again on YouTube and Facebook and X. I got great listeners, great viewers, and I appreciate that. Okay, I wanted to mention Junior Seau, and thanks for the questions. 13 years ago today, Junior passed away. And I had a good association with Junior. I wasn't one of his best buddies. I think I was probably one of his favorites in the media because I was always fair and I always came through for him. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I want to tell you the first time I ever saw Junior Seau. It was in September of 1983. I was coaching and teaching at Maricosta College in Oceanside. And my niece, Margaret Sullivan, she was a cheerleader at San Diego High School. Not San Diego Academy, but San Diego High School before La Costa Canyon. So we didn't have practice. It was in the fall, and it was a Thursday. We didn't have practice that day, but I had these two weight training classes at 6 and 7. So I figured, you know what? I'll fly down the 78 and I'll go to Oceanside. Margaret's going to be cheerleading against Oceanside at 3:30, and I got plenty of time to go watch her cheer and fly back down the 78 to Maricosta and be ready for my weight training classes. So I go to the game, and I'm sitting on the east side, and the home side's the west side at Simcox Field. And I'm sitting over there, and there weren't many San Diego fans. And so I'm watching the game, and man, there's this guy playing quarterback, and he's running all over the field. So I walked down, and I saw a guy that I knew from Oceanside. A lot of these guys knew me because I'd gone to Maricosta College. I'd coached at Torrey Pines. Now I was at Maricosta as a coach. So a lot of the guys in Oceanside that followed sports knew me. And I walked over, hey, Coach Kentera, how you doing? Good. And I go, I got to ask, who's this number 11? Who's this kid playing quarterback? He goes, oh, that's Junior. And I go, man, this guy, he's running all over the place. I'll go, yeah, he's a great athlete, really good athlete. Okay, so that was his freshman year. So I got to see my niece cheerlead that day, and I got to see Junior Seau. So then the next year, I'm on the sidelines. Torrey Pines varsity was playing up at Oceanside. I went up to the game, and I'm standing on the sidelines. And at this point in time, Junior's playing quarterback, and he's running all over the place. And if they needed a first down, he was getting the first down. I mean, he did everything. And really in high school, he was more noted to be a quarterback. And in his senior year, he played wide receiver. He was more noted as an offensive player at Oceanside than he was the defensive player. I mean, they'd throw the ball up to him in an alley-oop, and he's bigger and stronger and faster than anybody's going against those little high school DBs. But, first couple of years, he was a quarterback. And then he became a receiver. And then we know he went to SC, ended up being a defensive lineman slash, edge rusher, linebacker. And then he comes to the Chargers. But what I wanted to say about Junior Seau, a couple of things. Number one, he loved you fans. He loved San Diego. And some of my greatest memories of him aren't, big plays he made. They were things he did off the field. One of the things that I always remember, because back in 1994, I was covering the Chargers morning, noon, and night. I mean, I was out there, their morning practices at UCSD, afternoon practices. I used to catch balls for John Carney and throw them back to David Ben while they were warming up before their afternoon practice. I mean, I was out there all the time. And the thing that I really respected about Junior, because normally after the morning practice, they got to come back in the afternoon. All those guys, they want to do a variety of things. They want to get back to their room at UCSD. They want to take a nap, or they want to call their wife or girlfriend, or see their kids, or go to lunch, and they have a little downtime. Junior Seau, I can see right now, he had that visor that say "ow" on it. Remember those? He used to wear, and he'd have it on backwards, and he would go over to the little snow fence there, and he would sign autograph after autograph after autograph. He would sign autographs until the last youngster got his autograph. And I can't say that for some of the other guys. There were other guys that did it, and then there were some star players that couldn't be bothered. And I won't go into that. I know who they are. They know who they are. And some of them were putzes. But for the most part, most of the guys in the Chargers were pretty good guys. And so were the coaches. Coaches were great. Bobby Ross in those days was a great guy. Unbelievable guy. I always remember when Bobby Ross would meet with the media, he would invite guys like Jay Paris, who was a big runner. Hey, Jay, you want to go run a few laps? And Jay would go over the track there at UCSD and run a few laps with Bobby Ross in between practice. Bobby Ross was a great guy. But Junior Seau, I remember he came up to me, and I did millions of shows. Remember Seau's restaurant in Mission Valley? I was in there broadcasting all the time. I had my own personal waitress, and she was a doll and good looking, I might add. But anytime I came in, she took care of me. But I did, I don't know how many, 250, 300 shows from Seau's restaurant. I was there all the time. And players were coming in after games. It was great. But I remember Junior came up to me and goes, "Hey, coach," he goes, "we got this big benefit up in Oceanside at the Oceanside Boys and Girls Club," which I was a big fan of because I spent a lot of time growing up at the Boys and Girls Club in Solana Beach. In those days, it was just the Boys Club on Loma Santa Fe Drive. I spent hours and hours there as a kid. Really learned my basketball skills from playing on the cement there. And now they got this nice gym and all that good stuff. But he goes, "I would like you to be the master of ceremonies for this benefit dinner we're having at the Oceanside Boys and Girls Club." I go, "Junior, no problem." So I go up there. There's 400 people there that night. And, he was nice enough to ask me to be the MC, which he could have asked anybody, but he asked me. And I went up there. We had a great time. But, my remembrance of Junior Seau, he was a good guy. He obviously had some issues, but I wanted to remember him because he was a great San Diego athlete, one of the great athletes in the history of San Diego County. I mean, he was an all-stat basketball player of the year. He was a shot put champion, a league champion in the shot put in high school. I mean, the guy was just a great athlete, All-American at FC, and we know, what he did in the National Football League. But it was 13 years ago today we got the news that he'd passed away. Very tragic, very tragic. And I remember people ask me my highlights in radio, and I got a lot of them. And these aren't highlights, but these are things I keep close to my heart. When Junior Seau died, the radio station I was working for chose me to be the guy on the radio when they had the celebration of life at San Diego Stadium. I was the guy on the radio, and we played the celebration of life over the radio. But I was kind of the lead anchor, doing the ins and outs, and I got to talk about Junior a little bit. And the same thing with Jerry Coleman, I was chosen, and the same thing when Tony passed away. And those meant a lot to me. And the reason they meant a lot to me is because I'm a San Diego kid. And I mean, Junior was obviously a San Diego kid that I'd watched since high school, since he was a freshman at Oceanside. And, grew up listening to Jerry Coleman and had a great friendship with him and with Tony Gwynn. And so to be honored, it was an honor to me to be chosen to be the guy on the radio those days at their celebrations of life. I don't know where you put that in highlights of my career. I guess it's a personal highlight, but I like talking about games. I like to talk about that great night when Junior and the team came back from winning the AFC Championship at Pittsburgh. Man, that night on the field was unbelievable. I mean, that's one of the great nights in the history of sports in San Diego. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you the goosebumps I get even talking about it on this Friday morning. But I just wanted Junior Seau to be remembered today. And he died a tragic death. And but we should always remember the contributions he made to the city of San Diego and to our San Diego Chargers football squad. The other thing I wanted to bring up today, and then I want to answer a couple of questions people had for me. This relationship with Bill Belichick and this young girl, Jordan Hudson. God, man, I give Bill a lot of credit, man. I can't believe, and I know he's going like on this book tour, and she's like the publicist or whatever, PR person. I mean, it's odd, but it's not the first time we've seen an age gap like this. She's 24, he's 73, like 49 years difference in age. There's money involved, and who knows what's involved. But I can't believe this has become a topic with everybody. I've seen it in our business. You see it all the time. Young girls hanging with older guys that, have the yacht, and they got the house in Fairbanks Ranch and a house in Hawaii. And, a house in Dubai or whatever. But I can't believe what's going on here in the media. What Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson got, that's their business. Okay, I really don't care. I'll tell you, man, she's wearing some pretty provocative outfits when they're going out to some of these big events. It kind of that kind of bugs me a little bit. But what'll be interesting is, I mean, she's kind of leading Bill Belichick around by the nose right now, it looks like. What'll be interesting is once the season gets going, what's it going to be like? Right now, people at North Carolina have to be kind of shaking their head going, what the hell's going on here with this chick? And, Bill Belichick, if he goes in there and wins, nothing will be said about it. I mean, they'll just kind of move on to the next game. I mean, they go, 10-2 and get to a good bowl game. Everybody's going to be jumping up and down. They're not going to worry about Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson. But if they go, 4-8, people are going to be all over Belichick and her. So, but at the end of the day, what they want to, how they want to live their life, so be it. But I was watching a bunch of different things last night on X. Everybody's talking about it. I mean, not even like, I'm not talking about sports shows. I'm talking about a basketball show. I saw Megyn Kelly with David Portnoy from Barstool Sports talking about it. Everybody's talking about this, and especially after that interview with Tony DeCoppola on CBS last weekend. But CBS, they got a history of playing what they want to play. But I had to mention that a little bit. It's pretty weird. I try to envision, where I'm at in my life, going out with a girl that's like 49 or 50 years younger. That'd be kind of weird. People would look at you sideways, wouldn't they? Absolutely. But hey, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Who knows what they have between them? Maybe it's pure love. Okay, I wanted to mention a couple of things. And if we got any more questions, we'll take those too. I had somebody ask me the other day, I was out at a baseball game. They go, when are you getting back on the radio? And I said, I don't plan on getting back on the radio. There's only a couple of people right now in the radio business in San Diego that I'd be willing to work for. I don't need to be back on the radio 5 days a week. I mean, financially, I don't need to. I've been very fortunate. Thank you to mom and dad. And thank you to my wife and myself for working our tail off for many years. Would I like to be back on the radio 5 days a week? I doubt it. That's a lot of work, man. I don't know if I want to work that hard anymore. But I will tell you this. There are two people I would work for, and those names will remain nameless at this point in time. I'm not saying that I wouldn't come back, but I'd have to come back on my terms, and all the shows would have to be from my home. I'm not driving up and down the freeway. And really, the last 3 years that I was on radio, I broadcast from home, and it went well. We had the number one rated midday show in San Diego. Not only did we have the number one midday show in San Diego, we also had the highest ratings ever dating back to 1995 for a sports talk radio show in San Diego. So there are two people I would work for, but they'll remain nameless. But I enjoy, and this person also said, hey, I enjoy you on with the Flood Zone. And if you haven't heard, on either Wednesdays or Thursdays, I think whenever they need something, I joke about that. Fletch and Sammy Long on 760, they have me on. I'm on Wednesday or Thursday at 12:30 or 1:30. Kind of depends on what I got going, but those guys are good guys, and they care about building their brand. And if you get a chance to tune into them on 760 AM, they do a really nice job and they're fun. And Sammy's a big Lakers fan. Fletcher's a big sports fan. So good people. But that was a question I was asked. I've been going out to a lot of baseball games. I've been out to a couple this week. I may go to another one today. Go out and have fun, man. For many years, I couldn't go anywhere because I was always working. So I'm enjoying life. Watching my granddaughter play beach volleyball. Going to watch my grandson play Little League baseball tomorrow morning, and another grandchild pitching softball this weekend. So a lot of good stuff going on for John Kentera. The other thing, somebody asked me about, what all are you doing? And because, they hear me on the podcast, but they don't necessarily know what I'm doing. Well, I'm doing the podcast 3 days a week, 9 a.m. to whenever on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. I'm doing the Strike Force again this year with Steve Quist. We have a great time doing that. And we've got a game coming up actually on Mother's Day night. I don't think the wife's real happy about that, but I'll maybe try to get her to go to the game. But we'll do something nice prior to that. But then I did all those UC San Diego basketball games on ESPN Plus. And the other thing that I'm going to do, and really, I got to thank Tim Never to the Dodgers because Tim was in charge of this. Steve Quist and I we've signed contracts to be the play-by-play and color analyst for the Big West Baseball Tournament coming up later in May. So, that's a good conference, the Big West. So I'll be up in Fullerton for about 4 days calling, I don't know, anywhere from 7 to 9 baseball games on ESPN Plus, the Big West Championship. So looking forward to that. So, really, I'm doing things right now that I really enjoy doing. I love covering games. I love doing talk shows. I love doing this podcast because I get to visit with you folks out there. But I'm getting to go out and do ball games. I love that. I love the passion of ball games. I love watching athletes perform, and I love to continue to gain more knowledge about the great game of baseball. Every day you go to the ballpark, man, you got to try to learn something new. But anyways, hey, great show today. Thank you for all the questions. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. We'll be back in on Monday. We'll wrap up the Pirates series. We'll get you ready for the New York Yankees. Again, Padres tonight. It'll be Dylan Cease going against right-hander Mitch Keller. And hopefully the boys can have a great weekend. And again, we're on 3 platforms. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on X. And please, please, please subscribe and like our program and send us your comments. Until Monday morning at 9 a.m., have a great weekend, everyone. Do something special and tell someone you love them. Bye-bye.